Hello and welcome. I'm sharing this video with you today as an introduction to the Reveal experience. And today's topic is on the human condition. So thank you for taking time to listen. My name is Paula, and I am a devoted guide providing fellow travelers such as yourself with a rich, supportive, and meaningful experience as you embark along with me on a new and different approach to self exploration. Reveal is all about relationships. Relationships bring such fulfillment in our lives, and oftentimes they're not easy. In fact, they can be downright challenging. And the first relationship, well, that's the one you have with yourself. This is where we begin our journey together. Through the Reveal program, you will have the opportunity to discover a whole new level of depth, honesty, and trust in the relationship that you have with you. And this commitment inward has a natural transformative effect on all of your relationships, personally and professionally. But before we begin, it's important that we introduce the topic of conditioning. Why? Because conditioning limits us from experiencing true, authentic, honest relationship with ourselves and with others. So, what is it? What is conditioning? Well, it is simply part of the human experience, the human condition. And it begins the moment we take our first breath, and it does not go away. Conditioning over time is like a film over our lens. It distorts our view of reality and of who we truly are. And where does this external conditioning come from? Well, it's socialization. It begins with our parents, our siblings, friends, peers, partners, community, school, religion, government, social media, marketing, advertising, consumerism. The list just goes on. These external expectations placed upon us, they're everywhere. We live in a soup of conditioning, telling us how to act, what to believe, what to do, how to dress, how to think. You get the picture. Well, the pressure of conditioning leads to homogenization, where everyone looks the same, acts the same, believes the same, and thinks the same. And conditioning, it's neither good nor bad. It simply just is. It's part of this human experience, and nobody escapes conditioning unscathed. It is when we make decisions based on the conditioning that we begin to move away from the relationship that we have with our true self, ignoring our intuition, not trusting in our own inner knowing, and hiding our uniqueness. This is when we give away our power. And why? Why do we so easily abdicate our truth, not be ourselves when confronted with external demands? Well, to avoid the painful consequences of not fitting in, not being accepted or valued, shrinking ourselves for fear. If we show up completely, we will be shamed, blamed, criticized, or ignored, or shut down. And it all begins with the childhood wound. The childhood wound is the beginning of the unconscious mind's falsely created story about you that is not you. Now, the following examples that I'll be sharing with you next, they may seem small, but remember, every oak tree begins with an acorn. It's important also to mention here that there is no blame, no shame, guilt, or judgment. This is just part of the human experience. So let's start with the conditioning of the mind. When you were a child, were you ever told to hug or kiss a relative you barely knew? And upon resisting, you were told, "That's not nice. Don't be rude. Give your Aunt Betty a kiss." What seed does that plant in a child's mind about himself or herself, about their own value, respecting their own personal space? And how might this story show up later in life? Now for the conditioning of the body. And we're just going to use food for simplicity here. Some of us have been trained early on not to listen to our bodies. We are conditioned to eat when and what is placed in front of us, even when we're not hungry, and then shamed or guilted into eating. Don't be selfish. There are starving children in the world. Or, I spent money on that. Eat. Or a child is labeled as being a picky eater, when in fact, in all these situations, the child is just being taught to eat when they're not hungry, taught to ignore their body's intelligence, losing touch of their own body's knowing of what and when it needs nourishment. How much of our eating today is based on conditioning? Now for emotions. Being told not to feel something, come now, don't cry, or being punished for feeling a certain way, like anger. When a child is told not to feel, they then do not learn how to process emotional energy. They do learn, however, how to stuff or compartmentalize the energy instead, only to find out that it grows and becomes problematic when they reach adulthood. And they have no idea then how to process emotional energy. Can you see how this conditioning might negatively impact relationships in adulthood? Karen Curry Parker from Quantum Human Design defines trauma as any event, circumstance, or perception that causes a person to lose connection with their own lovability, their own sense of value, their own right place in the world. Well, trauma is trauma no matter the degree. This is indeed the childhood wound. This is when we fragment our spirit, losing connection with our highest self. Do you remember the first time that you abandoned you in response to an external conditioning? Now, this is not about dwelling on the past. This is about using the mind appropriately to recognize and contemplate on the root of a pattern of behavior that exists today that no longer serves you. For those of you who've pulled weeds by hand, you know that if you don't get the root, the weed just returns bigger and stronger. So let's dig into the internal process for a moment. External conditioning soon turns into internal conditioning. It begins with a thought that is planted in the mind early on. And that thought creates an emotion. That emotion leads to some kind of a response, a word, an action, or a decision, reinforcing the thought and then triggering later on an early emotional wound that has now become amplified and disproportionate to the magnitude of the current situation. This is how a pattern of behavior is created, an adaptive strategy that was created early on in order for us to survive. But as we reach adulthood, this pattern of behavior no longer serves us. It just leads to us playing it small in many aspects of our life. You see, the mind takes over the conditioning, reinforcing the conditioning, that internal dialogue. The mind's constant chatter becomes so loud you can no longer hear or recognize your own inner truth. Yes, the mind's chatter. Whenever you hear yourself say out loud or in the mind, oh, I should, I have to, I really must, or I need to. Take pause. These words are signposts letting you know that you are about to act on conditioning, not your truth. Yes, the story of the mind. The mind takes over and reinforces the conditioning. Do you ever recognize your own inner dialogue? Have you ever noticed or caught yourself playing out an adaptive strategy that was created to support something early on as a child, but today no longer serves you? Yes, the story of the mind, it creates what we call in human design the not self theme, where you are experiencing life in a shadowed state, believing a story is you that is not you. Thinking that there is something wrong with you or something is missing in you. You know, what do I need to do to feel valued? What do I need to do to fit in? This false thinking is how we abandon ourselves, furthering the distance between you and your higher self, your authenticity. Know this, there is nothing missing in you. Now, don't get me wrong, the mind is a valuable tool. It is like any other organ in the body. It has a specific purpose, like the heart. The heart is always beating in the background, whether you are aware of it or not. Well, like the heart, the mind is always thinking in the background, whether you are aware of it or not. The function of the mind is to conceptualize this and that. It is logical, analytical reasoning, comparing and measuring. It is a valuable tool that helps us navigate through this earthly realm. And you are not the mind. You're not. The mind is not where you discover the truth. That is you. The body is. The mind is a servant to the body, not the other way around. When you are stuck in the mind, constantly stuck in the mind, the monkey mind, you can tell when you're stuck using it or using the mind inappropriately because you begin to feel mental strain, confusion, doubt, uncertainty, or you'll feel nervousness in the body, anxiety, or stress. This is your body's intelligence letting you know that the mind is being used inappropriately. This is all about a dance between the mind and the body, a harmonious, peaceful union of the mind working with the body. And the body holds the key to creating flow in life. So, how do I use the mind appropriately? Shifting its role back into its natural place in service to the body. How do I find mental clarity? How do I find peace in the body, as well as smoother, more authentic relationships? Well, you are about to embark on a journey. The Reveal experience. This journey is all about self discovery, self acceptance, and discovering for yourself what it feels like to be free, liberation. The Reveal experience is about cultivating appreciation for your own uniqueness and embracing all of life's contrasts through authentic interactions, authentic relationships. And of course, the first one is the relationship beginning with you. So, the reveal is a guided journey back to you, and we integrate three modalities as we work together, co creating and collaborating. This is a journey of union and working together and having fun. And these three modalities are human design, is the first one, which is the science of differentiation. Human design is a map of your energy circuitry. It's your own personal roadmap back to you. We also incorporate the gene keys, which is a poetic and profound transmission that through contemplation allows you to unlock your genius, soften your heart in those through relationships and opening the mind. And then finally, I'll introduce to you, if correct, the emotion code. The emotion code is an energy practice customized to you, supporting the deconditioning process, accelerating everything through your journey by helping you move stagnant, stuck energy and lightening your energetic load. So, in this process and working together, collaborating together, there are three essential qualities that we practice together. And the first one is pausing and breathing. The second essential quality that we incorporate as we work together is gentleness towards yourself and others, allowing for patience as we move through discovery of our shadows and, just moving through life and navigating through situations. Also, the third and very important aspect in this journey is discovering this unwavering trust that life supports you always. Know this: every experience you have, the moment you're having it, is exactly what your soul needs for development. So it's trusting that life supports us always. So we blend these three tools with these three essential qualities in helping with the deconditioning process and unlearning the undifferentiation of conditioning, helping you remember who you are and the free will to be it or not. So, some final words. This all is about courage. When we bring forward our authentic self, guess what? It gives others the courage to do the same. It's all based on a healthy, strong curiosity, appreciation, and inclusion. So, thank you again for investing the time with me. And I look forward to our next heart to heart connection. Have a beautiful day honoring you. Bye for now.